So this is about array. So sometimes when we want to create program, right, we want to create program. Sometimes we create program more than one variables for the same name. For example, we want to store the student grade. Maybe if the student only consists of 5 or maybe 3 students or maybe 2 students, so it is easy for us just create two. We just create maybe 5 different variable names. But the problem is if we have more than one student, maybe we have 10 students, or maybe we have 100 students, or maybe we have 200 students. This is not possible for us. I mean, this is not convenient for us if we create 100 variables or maybe 1000 variables with different name. So that's why in order to accommodate this kind of the situation, we want to create more than one variables with the same function and then the same data type. We can use array instead of we create one by one the variables name. So actually the array array is a collection of variables with has the same data type. So and also they have the same function. The same function mean if we want to create this variable for storing the student grade, so all the variables in this collection will be used for storing the student grade. So this is not possible for us. We create array. The first array, for example, we have 10 variables. 10 variables mean one array. And then for the first data will be used for storing the data for student grade. And then for the last 5 data will be used for storing another one. So this one is not possible. So that's why the definition of array is a collection of variables which has the same data type and also has the same function. If we already decide this array will be used for storing the student number or student grade, so all one will be used for student grade, something like that. So that one, and also we just create one variable names for that collection of variable. So we don't need to create different name. For example, we create the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and so on. This is not mandatory. So we can just create the student grade, and then we will access the value of student in number 1, number 2 using index, something like that. So this is the example how we can just create the array. So this one, we create int part number. So it means that we create the variable array for part number. So the value will be 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 6, and so on until 1209. So in this case, we will have 4 variables. Yeah, 4 variables, but in array. So for this one also, we will have 10 variables, and for the next one using char, so we will have 5 variables. So when we want to declare one-dimensional array, we have format. So the format will be this is type, right? This is type, and this is variable names, and this one will be size. Size how many variables that we want to store in array. So type will be the data type, and variable name will be the name of variable, and then the size will be the number or maybe how many elements the array will have. So this is the example int sample 10, int float number 100, or maybe this is char last name 40, something like this. So this is how we can define one-dimensional array. So how about if we want to access the value of array in the element array? So actually, if we want to access the value of element array, we can just using index. So suppose we define, right? So we define maybe int something like this, int x, and then we define 5 variables. Right? 5 variables. I mean the number of variable in the array x will be 5. So in computer memory, so we will preserve 5 memory. right? Something like this. So this is will be index 0. This is index 1. This is index 2, index 3, and this is will be index 4. So if we make the 5 variables in array, so the index will be started from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 until 4. So suppose we want to give the access the value for index 0. So x 0 equal to 5. So this is how we can access the element of array. So x0 means we access the variable x in index 0, right? So because this is x0 is equal to 5, so this the value of index 0 will be 5. And then if we access x1, something like this, x1 become 3, so the index 1 will be 3. So if we access x2, x2 is equal to 6, so the index 2 will be 6. So if we make C out, for example, this one is will be x0, so the value will be 5, right? The value will be 5. But because we only have 5 variable, I mean the size is only 5, when we access 6, something like this, actually this is not possible for us because this is indexed out of bound. Because we only preserve for 5 variables, but we access index 6. Even if we access index 5, 5 is equal to 6 in some compiler, this one will not be possible. Why? Because the index for 5 number of element only between 0 until 4. So if we access index 5, or maybe we access index 6, or maybe we access index 7, this one will not be possible. Okay, this is how we access the array elements, whether we access for assigning the value, or maybe we access for printing the value. Okay. So this is the example. So this is the example. We create the variable samples. This is 10. So we reserve 10 integer value in the memory. And then this is using looping. Yeah, usually when we implement array, we always using looping. So this one, sample t will be t multiplied by t. So it means that this one, sample 0, we have 10 variable, 10 variable starting from index 0, index 0, 1, 2, 3, and this one will be 4, and this one will be 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. This is 8, and this is 9. So if you see, sample t is equal to t multiplied by t. So sample 0 is equal to 0 because 0 multiplied by 0 is 0. Sample 1 is will be 1. Sample 2 will be 4. Sample 3 will be 9. And this one will be 16. This one will be 25. This one will be 36. This one will be 49. And this one will be 50. This one will be 64. And this one will be 81. So this is the value of the sample variable. So they are storing multiplication of t multiplied by t. Okay, this is how we access the element. And in array, actually the representation is similar that I already mentioned before. So when we initialize, when we define a8 mean we preserve as variable. So the index will be starting from 0 until 7. So this is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So this is not possible in some compiler to access at 8, yeah, A8 because the index only until 7. And also this one is not possible to access 8 minus 1 because the index minus 1 is not possible. The index should be bigger or equal than 0. So minus 1 is not possible. A minus 1, A8 is not possible. And 8, 9 also this one is not possible in some compiler. But maybe if you use different compiler, probably this one is also possible. So before I continue to the coding, so let me show you the how we can initialize the array. So actually, if we want to initialize the array, we can just use the type. This is temp, and then this one is the array name, and then size, and then we put equal, and we use the bracket something like this, and then we store the values that we want to initialize to the array. So in this case, if we execute this kind of the variable, this one, so the index 0 will be 1, the index 2 will be 2, the index 3 will be 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is starting from the index 0, 1, 2, 3 until the index 10. This is how we can initialize the array. So, okay, before we continue to the next slide, so probably we will show the example, the demo, how we can access the array or maybe create the array. So I will stop this one and then showing the tab. Okay, this one, this is the example. Suppose we want to create array, because array consists of several variables. So when we want to accessing the element, we should use looping usually. So, so now we create the IO stream. This is IO stream. So actually, we can also using the stdio.s, but this one, if we want to use the stdio.s, so in the input and output, we should use different function. So now we make variable int. Suppose grade. This is grade the student. So we have five, right? Five value. So if we want to read one by one the student grade, at one by one the student got. So we should use int something like this, right? For int I is equal to 0, I less than 5, and then I plus plus, and then we just see in grades I. So this is how we read the data for the array. So suppose in array we have 100, 90, 89, and then 78, and then 90 again, and maybe this is 70. And then we make output something like this, output. This is the out. So this one is also possible. So when we execute this program, right? So the 100 will be stored in index 0, 90 will be stored in index 1, right? 89 will be stored in index 2, 78 will be stored in index 4, and 70 will be stored in index 4. So this is index 3 and this one will be index 4. So when we execute this program, okay, so the output will be okay. Oh, okay, I forgot to use using namespace std. Like this, when we execute this one, so the output will be something like this. So this is already successfully. But what happened if we reserve? Reserve mean this is I is equal to 4, right? I is equal to 4, and this one is bigger than or equal to 0, and this is I minus minus. So when I execute, so this one will be a reverse order. So 70, 78, 89, and so on. This is the input, and this is the standard output. So this is how we can access the variable in array using index value. So if we have this one, see out, and this is grade, and this one is will be 5. 5, and this one suppose grade is equal to grade 1, grade I is equal to this one, right? Equal to I multiplied by I, something like this. This is quite similar before. So if we access this one, so if grade I is equal to I multiplied by I, so grade index 0 will be 0, index 1 will be 1, index 2 will be 4, and so on. So when we execute for printing the grade 4, oh sorry, this one should be grades using S. So when we execute this one, so the value will be 16. Yeah, because the index 4 will be storing the value of 4 multiplied by 4, something like this. So what happen if we have this kind of the program? Okay, suppose if I is equal to 0, so we combine with looping and if statement. So if I is equal to 0, that's I will be 1, something like this, right? Else that I will be grade I minus 1 plus I. So this is possible for us. The index, so the index this one, the index can be a mathematical operation. So this is I minus 1. But there is a requirement that if we want to make the mathematical operation, we should make sure that the output of this mathematical operation should be integer. So this is not possible for us to create something like this. Why? Because I divided by 2 will be float. So because this is will be float, so this one will be compile error. Wait a moment. So if we want to make the mathematical operation as index, so the index, please make sure that mathematical operation will output, will result the integer value. Because if the value is not integer, so the program will be error. So because this is I minus 1, so this one possible. So because this is possible, so the value can be accessed by the index. So for example, if I is equal to 1, right? I is equal to 1. So if we execute this kind of the array, so the index the index access will be 0 because 1 minus 1 is 0. So we access the index 0. Right? So we cannot make the float as index. So the index should be integer or maybe should be array. So suppose we execute this kind of the program. So what is the value of grade 4? Please guess what is the value of grade 4? What do you think? The value of, so after we execute this program, so see out grades 4. So what is the output of this program? So first, this one, if I is equal to 0, the grade I will be 1. So it means that, okay, we will see. So if we see this one, if so the grade I will be, the grade 0 will be 1, right? Because this is I is equal to 0, so the grade I will be 1. And then how about if if index is more than 0? So if I is not 0, so for example grade 1, so this is equal to grade 0. So this is equal to grade 0 plus 1, right? Because this is plus I. Grade I is equal to grade I minus 0, minus 1. Yeah, this is grade I is equal to grade I minus 1 plus I. So because this is I is equal to 1, so this one will be plus I. So how about the value of grade 1? Grade 0. The value of grade 0 is 1 plus 1, so this one will become 2. Okay? And how about this one will become 2. And then how about with grades 2? So grade 2 will be grade 2. This will be grade 1 plus 2. So the result will be 2 plus 2 will be 4. And how about the grade 3? So grade 3 will be grade, this is will be 2, right? And this one will be plus 3 is equal to 4 plus 3. Yeah, because grade 2 is 4, right? So this is plus 3, so we will have the result is 7, right? And how about the grade? Grade 4. Grade 4 is equal to grade 3 plus 4. So the result will be 7 plus 4. So the value will be 11. So when we see out grade 4, so the value will be 11. So we will see that the value will be 11, not 9. So, okay. Okay, we will see different one. I just want to know whether you understand or not how to check one by one this one. So suppose if I is less than 2, at the grade will be I. But otherwise grade will be I minus 2. So now my question is, how about the value of grade 4? So now, how about the grade 0? The value of grade 0, because the I is 0, so because this is I is less than 2, so the value will be 1, okay? This will be 1. How about the grade 1? Grade 1 also will become 1. Why? Because the value of I, yes, the value of I is less than 2. So the grade 1 also will be 1. How about grade 2? Grade 2, because this is not less than 2, so grade 2 will be grade 1 at plus grade 0. Okay? Because this is I, grade I is equal to I minus 1, and this is I minus 0. So grade 1 will be 1, grade 0 will be 1. So the value will be 2. Okay? And then now we check grade 3. Grade 3 will be grade 2 plus, oh sorry, grade 1 plus grade 2. So this one will be 2 plus, sorry, this one will be 1 plus 2. So the value will be become 3. Okay? 3. And now grade 4. Grade 4 will be grade, sorry, this one is will be 2. This one is will be 1. This one 2, and this is 1. So this one will be grade 3 plus grade 2. And so the value will be 3 plus 2. So the value will be equal to 5. So the grade 4 will be 5. Okay, that one is correct. Okay, the grade 4 will be 5. Okay, so now what happen if we create something like this? Okay, suppose we want to initialize. So we initialize grade 5. The value will be 2, 3, 2, 1, and 5. Sorry, this one not. This one will be 0, and this one will be 0. This one will be 4. And so it means that we give the value. So this is how we initialize the value of grade. Right? So the value will be grade 5. So the index 0 will be 2. The index 1 will be 3. The index 2 will be 0. The index 3 will be 1. And then the index 4 will be 4. So what happens if we just initialize 3 value? So this is 5 value, that we preserve 5 value, but we only give 3 values. So the first 3 value will be assigned according to the number. So this is will be index 0, index 1, and index 2. So the remaining index will be become 0. So this one, so grade 4, grade 3 will be become 0, because this is index 1, index 0, index 1, and index 2. So in index 3 and index 4, the value will be become 0, because we don't initialize the value. But if we initialize the value something like this, so in minute index 1, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and index 4. So in array, this is possible for us to create something like this. Something like this, grade I is equal to I plus I. Something like this. So something like this. So we can assign grades. So the index will be grade I again. So this is possible. Why? Because the grade I is integer. So anything the variable is integer, or maybe the mathematical operation is integer, it can be used for index in array. So before we already try using the indexing and using the mathematical operation for index, but now we try the array value for index, something like this. This is grades I is equal to I. So when we execute this program, what is the value of grade 4? So when I is equal to 0, right? When I is equal to 0, this one will be grade, and this one will be grade 0, right? Is equal to 0. So this one is equal to, because this is, what is the value of grade 0? The value of grade 0 is 2, right? Yes or no? The value of grade 0 is 2. So this one is similar with grade 2 is equal to 0. Right? And then now, if when I is equal to 1, this one will be grade, this one will be grade 1, and this one will be 1. How about the grade 1? Grade 1 will be 3, right? So 3 will be become 1, okay? So because grade 1 is equal to 3 here. So because this is equal to 3, so this one will be, grade 3 will be 1. Okay, now how about the I is equal to 2? This one grades, and this one is grades 2. That is equal to 2, right? And don't forget, grade 2, this one grade 2, right? This is grade 2. Grade 2 is now currently is equal to 0, right? This is grade 2, because we already know grade 2 is 0. So it means that this one will be grade 0 is equal to 2. Right? And then how about the I is equal to 3? So this one will be grades, and this one will be grades 3 equal to 3. Right? How about the value of grade 3? The value of grade 3 is 1. So this is similar with the grade 1 is equal to 3. And then the last one, when I is equal to 4, and this one will be grade, and this one will be grade 4, and this one will be equal to 4. And when we create grade, how about the grade 4? How about the grade 4? The grade 4 is 1, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this one is equal to grade 1 is equal to 4. So now, because this is already I is already index 4, 0 until 4, so there is no change in grade 4, so grade 4 will be still 1. So if you see here, there is no grade 4, right? There is no grade 4 here. Because there is no grade 4 here, so the value of grade 4, oh, wait. This is grade, okay, grade 3, this is already changed become 1. Right? So because there is no change in grade 4, so grade 4 will be still 1. So when we execute this one, the value will be 1, at still 1. So the correct answer is 1, not 4. Why? Because even though grade 3 is 4, and here grade 3 is 4, but because we already assigned different value, grade 3 is equal to 1, so this one will be changed become 1. So that's why when we use the grade 3, the grade 3 is not 4, but the grade 3 is already 1, because we already changed here in the I is equal to 1. Okay, that's why the value of grade grade 4 is equal to still 1. So what happened if we I change again? And then we modulo 5, something like this. What is the modulo 5? Modulo, you still remember this one, modulo. So now if I change the value of grade 5, and then here grade I modulo 5 is equal to I. So what is the value of grade 4? Okay, we will see. Okay, we will see first when I is equal to 0, right? When I is equal to 0, grade, this one will be grade 0, right? Grade 0 modulo 5 is equal to 0. So how about the value of grade 0? The value of grade 0 will be 5, right? 5 modulo 5 is equal to 0. So this one will be 5 modulo 5 will be 0, right? So 0. So now the value of grade 0 is equal to 0. How about when I is equal to 1? So this one will be 1, right? This one will be 1, and this one will be 7, right? 7 modulo 5 is equal to 1, and then 7 modulo 5 is 2, right? So this one will be 1. So it means that grade 2 is equal to 1. And then how about if I is equal to 2? So this one will be become 2, and this one will be 2. So how about the grade 2? Here, grade 2 is equal to 1. Sorry. Grade 2 is equal to 1. So this one will be replaced by 1. Okay? So 1 modulo 5, right? 1 modulo 5, sorry, this one is 2. Find 1 modulo 5 will be become 1. So this is the result. And then when I is equal to 3, when I is equal to 3, this one will be 3, and this one will be 3. How about the grade 3? The grade 3 will be 6, right? Right. The grade 3 will be 6. So this one will be 6 with modulo by 5. This one will be 3. So this is equal to 1 and this one will be 3. And then the last one is I is equal to 4 and this one will be 4 and this one will be 4. So grade 4 will be 9, right? 9 and this one 9, right? 9 modulo 5 will be 4. So this one will be 4. So the output of grade 4 will be 4. So when we execute this one, the output will be become 4. Okay. Okay, now the example, suppose we create something like this. We enter happy, something like this, right? Happy is equal to 0. Okay. If happy is less than grades I, and then happy is equal to grades I. And then we output the happy value. So now my question is, what is the output of this program? The answer is 9, right? Yeah, because this is actually when I is equal to 0, right? We check happy is 0 and grade is 5. So now happy will be become 5. And then when I is equal to 1 and this one is happy equal to 7, right? Yeah, this is actually this program is used for finding the maximum value, right? So among these 5, 7, 8, 6, and 9, what is the maximum value? The maximum value is 9. So because the maximum value is 9, so the happy will be 9. So this one, if happy is less than grade I, actually we check whether happy is less than value of grade. So in here, so first happy is 0 and then we compare with 5. So because happy is less than 5, so we change happy become 5. And then the next one, 5 comparing with 7. Because 5 is less than 7, so happy becomes 7. And then when we compare again 7 with 8, because 7 is less than 8, so 7 become 8. And then we compare 8 with 6, because 8 is already bigger than 6, so we don't change 8. Right? And then the next one, we compare 8 with 9. So when we compare 8 with 9, 8 is less than 9, so the happy will become 9. So this one will be the maximum value. So if we want to make the minimum value, we can just change this one become something like this. So the happy will be, suppose the happy will be 10. So when we execute, this one will be become 5. I mean, the minimum value among the array value, something like this. Okay. So now I will give you, exercise maybe for 10 minutes. What happen if I want to make a program? If I ask you to create a program for finding the second maximum. Okay, suppose if the value of array is something like this, 5, 7, 8, 6, and 9. So the output will be 8. Why? Because 8 will be the second maximum. So before do this one, we can just create using looping for input the data. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, and then I plus plus. So we will have cin grade I, and grade I, and suppose we output 190, 89, 78, and 70, and when we execute this one, the output will be 100. Why? Because 100 is maximum value. That 100 is maximum value. So if we change this one become 99, so we execute, so the output will be 99. Why? Because 99 is the maximum value. So if we change this one become 97, so the output will be 97 because 97 is maximum value. So now for exercise, I will give you 15 minutes for exercise. Please create a program in order to find the second maximum. So if the input is something like this, 77, 97, 90, 89, 78, 70, so the output will be 90. Why? Because 90 is second maximum. 97 is maximum, 90 is second maximum. So if we have this one, the value is 92, something like this, so the value will be 92. The output will be 92. Why? Because 92 is second maximum. But if we have output some input something like this, so the output will be 91. Why? Because 91 is second maximum. So now we move to the next one. So this is about the still about array. So in array actually we if we want to create array to array assignment in our C++ program. So suppose we create a, right? This is A, this is A is 10, yes, this is array A, and this is B, array B. And then if we want to copy the value of array B into array A, this is not possible for us just using this assignment. A is equal to B. This is will be compile error. So if we want to copy the variable, I mean the value of B into A, so we should use looping. This is the looping. So we use looping and then we assign one by one. So we assign the index 0 in B into index 0 in A and index 0 in index 1 in B into A and so on until the last index. So this one is possible if we use the looping. So we assign one by one for all index. And we are not possible to assign A is equal to B because A is array and B is array. So this one we can call as the array to array assignment. Okay. And also no bound checking. Actually, no bound checking is if the array is already more than something like this. So this is 10. We only execute 10 data, but we access more than 10. So the program will be error. So maybe you can compile this program, but the program will be crash because this is will be runtime error. If we want to assign more than 10, this is something like this, 0 until 99. So we should change the size of array. So the size should be 100. So if we use the size is 100, so the program will be not runtime error. So this is no bound checking. I mean, please be make sure that the index that you assign in array, they are within limit. So if we only have 10 value in array, don't try to access the index 10, index 11, index 12. If you want to access index 12, so please increase the size of your array. So this is no bound checking. And the next one is about multi-dimensional array. So if we want to create more than one dimension of array, before we only create one dimension, but now if we want to create more than one dimension, so we can just put additional bracket. So before, if we want to create one dimension, we can just use int matrix 3. But if we want to create two-dimensional array, so we make two size something like this. This is for the first dimension, and this one will be the second dimension. So when we execute this one, so the value of 3 will become rows, and then the value of 4 will become columns. So this is left index 0, 1, and 2. This is 0, 1, and 2. This one will be indexed for this 3. And then 0, 1, 2, and 3. This one will be the index for 4. So if we access, suppose this one is matrix. So if we access matrix, this one, matrix 0, 1. So the value of matrix 0, 1, 0 mean here, right? 1 here. So the value will be 2. So matrix 0, 1, 0, 1 will be 2. How about the matrix? Matrix, maybe this is 2 and 2. Because this is the matrix 2 and 2. So this one will be, what is the 2 here? And what is the 2? It's 11. So this one will be 11. So this is how we can access the two-dimensional array. So just add additional size, right? Something like this. So it will become two-dimensional array. So actually in the storage, when we create the two-dimensional array, the value will be row multiplied by columns multiplied by the number of bytes, right? So if we create int, something like this, int, and then this is x, and this one is 10, and this one is 20, right? 20, something like this. So integer will be 4 bytes. Right? This one will be 4 bytes. So the total storage will be, this is 10 multiplied by 10, this is 100, 100 multiplied by 4 bytes. The total will be 400 bytes. So this is the storage that we have in our memory. If we initialize, or maybe if we define two-dimensional array. Okay. So how about if we have, suppose we have int, something like this, int x, and this is 20, and this is will be 5. So the total memory will be 4 byte multiplied by 20 multiplied by 5. So the value will be 400 byte, because this is 4 multiplied by 5 is 20, 20 multiplied by 20 will be 400 byte. This is how we store the memory into the array. And then if we want to increase the dimension, just add additional size. This is size 1, size 2, and size until n. So this one will be n dimensional array. So actually in our program, so we mostly just use maximum is two-dimensional array. Right? For this one, because this is char is 1 byte, right? Because char is 1 byte, and this is 4 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 20. This one will be 800, and 800 is multiplied by 1 byte, so the total will be 800 byte. Okay, and this is how we can initialize the n-dimensional array. So if we have, suppose if we have int x2 and this is 3. So because the total value is 6, 2 multiplied by 6. So if we want to initialize the value, so we should give 6 value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, something like this, right? So in memory, actually this one will be, this is 0, 1, and this is 0, 1, 2, and this one will be 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So when we do this initialization, this is the value in our storage. So please try the implementation of two-dimensional array. Okay. So actually this one related, this is quite similar with the one-dimensional array. In one-dimensional array, that you try to use one-time looping, but in two-dimensional array, usually you use more than one looping. Maybe if you use two-dimensional array, you use two looping. If you use three-dimensional array, you use three looping. The next step look like this. This is the same. And if we, okay, this is actually if we don't make the size. So this one will be, sometimes in some compiler will be error. but in another comparison will be successfully. So don't forget, if you define array, please put the size of that array. And this is array of string. I will skip because you are not study about string yet. So later we will study about string after UTS.